Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. As always, a free way to support the channel is by leaving a thumbs up or by leaving a comment below. It does help with the algorithm. I thought I'd bring some Bitcoin adoption news. You've seen during the course of a week how much news we actually end up getting about Bitcoin adoption. It's never usually all of it. I can only bring you so many videos per day without exhausting myself. So it's a news I missed day, but whatever, what have you. Let's jump into it because there's always quite a bit of it. A NASDAQ listed company called Green Pro Capital. And keep in mind, these are all companies that we haven't heard of before. We usually hear about MicroStrategy and Grayscale and this one in London and that one and so. So they're always new companies coming forward discussing that they're going to be doing this. Green Pro Capital Corporation has revealed plans to set up a Bitcoin fund using $100 million in borrowed funds. In addition to the borrowed funds, Green Pro, through its subsidiary CryptosX, says it plans to use its own cash reserves to acquire the digital asset. The financial services firm, which has its headquarters in Hong Kong, has joined the growing list of banks, hedge funds, and insurance companies and institutions holding Bitcoin. Banks, hedge funds, insurance companies, and institutions holding Bitcoin. I try to make as many videos as possible to let everyone constantly see the list over and over and over so that you always hear about it. Understand, we are at the adoption point where we have every single entity that has money. They're buying as much Bitcoin as they possibly can, as much as their shareholders will actually let them. And also, once again, the news that we've heard multiple times that apparently, allegedly, there are multiple countries around the world who are also buying up Bitcoin as well. In a statement announcing plans to set up the fund, Green Pro shares its belief that Bitcoin, as the world's most widely adopted cryptocurrency, is a reliable future store of value. They said, "We believe the strategic management of our balance sheet, combined with the implementation of our Bitcoin fund and crypto strategy, will provide significant future value for the company." So what they're basically doing is something like MicroStrategy did before, where MicroStrategy issued debt in some sort of fashion, $650 million to be able to buy Bitcoin. And this is exactly what they're doing as well. And I think this is going to be a very big trend, because if Bitcoin does continue to rise in value, if you have $100 million in debt, and you make $350 million from the rise in Bitcoin's price, well, you can pay off your debt quite easily, and therefore you still made a tremendous profit from the Bitcoin that you actually hold. Here's the actual statement right here on NASDAQ. It's really weird. It's a weird page. When I try to scroll down, this bar still remains, which is kind of odd, but here's the actual press release, if you will, from Green Pro, announcing that they're going to be getting into the Bitcoin space. Moving on. Next up, big American companies like MicroStrategy have made the headlines this year with their Bitcoin buying policies, but companies in Colombia may be set to follow suit after a corporate watchdog in the nation greenlighted the practice of holding crypto capital reserves in crypto. Geez Louise. And an official note, the Superintendency of Corporations, the nation's corporations regulated manager, explained that following a consultation, firms in Colombia are now legally permitted to use their capital to buy crypto assets such as Bitcoin, the only token explicitly named in the document. Hope everyone paid attention. So long as they abide by regulations outlined in the existing commercial code, the watchdog added that providing the token companies bought could qualify as intangible assets and meet criteria that makes them recognizable on inventories as intangible, firms were now free to take the crypto plunge. Here's the PDF news release press thing, if you kind of want to say that. I show these because people usually ask sometimes when I make videos, I bring the news and they go, well, I don't see the proof. And I'm like, well, cool. I'll show you proof every single time, because I don't understand why people would even think that I have a slight hinge of needing to lie in any capacity. So this is another country, and we hear about very few of these. This is not an everyday thing. A lot of the companies who've been doing this have kind of been doing it on their own merit, depending on where they are in the world. But to have an actual watchdog say, hey, yeah, it's now legally able for any company to actually buy up Bitcoin or convert their capital into Bitcoin is absolutely massive. We do not hear about many Latin American countries that are hyper into the cryptocurrency space, it's been Colombia and Venezuela. That's just about been it. We have barely any news about Brazil. The last crypto news we had about Brazil, if I can remember correctly, was that they were going to be writing some of their laws on top of Ethereum. That was basically it. So I assume I give it summertime, we'll start hearing news about companies in Colombia that are also doing the exact same thing. So once again, more Bitcoin adoption. I was going to say coming your way. That doesn't make any sense because I already gave the news. So in your face, there, it's there. You saw it. You heard it. Moving on. Next up. The world's most popular cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, continues to gain the interest of the increasing numbers of institutional investors, hence counting mainstream adoption. The crypto community has welcomed Nextech AR Solutions, a leading provider of digital and augmented reality experience technologies and services into the game of crypto. The company has become the most recent tech company to include Bitcoin in its list of treasury reserves in a bid to maximize long-term value for shareholders. Nextech AR Solutions says it has plans to buy $2 million worth of Bitcoin and even more in 2021. Wonderful. Following a new report, the company announced a big move as its initial investment in Bitcoin, claiming it reflects their belief in Bitcoin as a long-term store of value. And here's their press release indicating what they plan on doing. I'm a little saddened myself that I didn't create a proper list of all the companies that we've been hearing about every single time. Because I would love, honestly, to make a video where I just went through the entire list and said exactly how much money they planned on buying and at what date. I think that would have made me very happy. Just so I like people to have one simple area that they can go to kind of get all this news at once, because I know it can be a bit daunting and the word isn't confusing. But like I said, people forget if the news kind of isn't in one gigantic bundle. Because you have to understand that the banks, the institutions, the corporations, the family offices, the so-and-so, they have all of this information given to them to be used at any given point that they want. They know that all this adoption is actually happening. They share this information. I don't know if it's between each other, but I'm sure they have like a list somewhere of all this happening. So just want you to be a part of it to understand why Bitcoin's price is rising. There was a post yesterday on Twitter, and I didn't have the time or the patience, neither of them, to actually explain to this person. Somebody posted, it wasn't on my Twitter, it was somewhere else. And they were like, well, I think Bitcoin's due for a correction because the price is simply rising way too fast and there's no real reason for it. And I started typing and I was like, no, like imagine trying to explain to someone the news that we've been getting every single day, every day over the past 6 months and how much Bitcoin has been accumulated. I think it's a lot for anyone to kind of take in at one period. Like imagine you having a friend and they're like, oh, I saw Bitcoin rose in price. How do I get into it? Why should I get into Bitcoin? And you really imagine dumping 6 months worth of information onto them. It would either give them a headache or they'd really just go, okay, it's fine. Okay, cool, I got it. Kind of something along those lines. But yeah, this is every single day. We keep getting new news like this. And it's difficult to explain to people because these people who are now fascinated or interested inside the market or even claim to be skeptical in some sort of fashion, they want to get into the market, but they don't really know how. So they're looking for someone to really like kind of guide them and hold their hand and take them. But it's a bit too late for that. We've been trying to, how many of you out there have been trying to tell your friends and family members and coworkers for so long about getting into this market? And now they're asking you all these questions as to why they should get into the market. And it's like, no, you figure it out. Like you had years to get into this market. Like it's your fault that you're now trying to buy a Bitcoin at $34,000 as opposed to, when you could have gotten it. I know. Anyway, I've seen the comments for years. So many people trying to tell other people to get into the space. But now that one entire Bitcoin's completely unobtainable for them. Now they want to try and get into the market. It's very, I mean, that's also what propels us up to a $100,000 Bitcoin. It's stuff like that. Next up, Serbia has pivoted from its anti-crypto stance to allow digital currency issuance and trading under a new law passed by the government earlier this year. Is that now? The law came into effect. The law came into effect on the 29th of December. Makes sense. After the Serbian government published it on an official gazette and will apply to the digital currency industry after 6 months. The lawmakers introduced the draft in October, and the bill was passed in late November. The digital asset law, commissioned by the I guess basically their SEC. As the supervisors of the local digital asset industry, the digital currency service providers need to obtain approvals before offering their services. Cool. Another country has essentially legalized cryptocurrency, cryptocurrency trading, which is absolutely wonderful because it allows people in that country to legally be able to trade and also to, I'm sure, also buy the cryptocurrencies as well. I don't think I think that there might be definitely one or two countries out there who simply do not understand what Bitcoin is, and therefore they're going to be very anti-crypto. But I think for the most part, they definitely get where the industry is going, and this is why nearly all the countries, all the banks, everybody who was anti-crypto before, they're all seemingly now, okay, it's fine, it's cool. It all just comes down to taxes. Governments always want to make sure that they're getting their slice of the pie, and that's usually what appeases them. And to finish things off in the adoption news, Grayscale, the world's largest cryptocurrency asset manager, now has more than $20 billion with a B dollars worth of digital assets under management, and the company holds $17.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. This news is from like 40 hours ago, and Bitcoin's price has risen significantly since then. So I'm going to assume this number is even higher. According to the latest update provided by the company on Twitter, Grayscale's total assets under management reached $20.2 billion on the last day of 2020. The cryptocurrency asset manager has more than 600,000 Bitcoin, as the firm accumulated 70,000 Bitcoin within the last 30 days. Something major is happening. I do hope that you're all a part of it. You have to be at this point. You have to understand where this is all going, how this is all going to form, and what the world is going to be like in 5 years. I've ranted, I've raved, we've spoken about the US dollar losing value, countries going into hyperinflation, jobs not returning, automation becoming a very big thing. Don't forget, if you weren't here before, in 2019, this was a very big topic on this channel. We were talking about the automation of everything, and I think 2020 put a big hamper on that because of the events that took place and are still taking place. A lot of companies planned on completely automating in 2020, but I think they could not because of 19. It would have been bad press. It would have been bad so-and-so. But it was Uber and Tesla who planned on rolling out their self-driving cars, and many other companies. And the supermarkets with just cameras everywhere, no one actually working inside of them, they also plan on rolling a whole bunch of them out last year. But once again, it took a slight bit of a back seat. Once all the madness of 19 has passed by or begins to really, drop out of the news, automation is going to take place quite rapidly. You have to make sure that right now you are financially protected for what's coming. There are so many people. One of my really close friends, he tells me when he discusses with friends what's happening in the world, what's happening with currency, I feel bad for him because he says they don't understand inflation. They don't know of course not. Between a security and a commodity and what this is and why the stimulus checks are a big thing and all, and the printing of money, they just simply think that money can be printed at will. And we've gotten way beyond that point. He tells them about Bitcoin accumulation. They don't care. It means nothing to them because they simply know Bitcoin has this number on the screen, and they heard somebody in 2014 say that it was risky, speculative. You should not get into it. The same exact thing like with Dave Ramsey. So as long as we keep getting adoption news, I will continue to bring it to you. I just want you to all know and have this information because, once again, third time he's saying this, I don't want anyone to say in 2, 3, 4 years from now that you simply did not know this was taking place. I'm here giving you this information every single day, once, twice, or thrice a day through a video so that you know explicitly that all of this adoption is happening, that governments around the world are adopting Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, banks, all these other things, buying it up, treasury, yada, 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 yada. You have this information. Make sure to use it wisely. I do hope you all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.